It's been 5 years since the last Christmas I spent with my wife Amanda and our son Griffin. And if you follow me, well, my wife, I was married for 25 years, and unfortunately, my wife succumbed to alcohol use disorder almost 5 years ago in February. So our last Christmas was 5 years ago, which would have been the Christmas of 2019. And it was very strange because my son had just come home from college and he had had about 3.5 months during his first semester. And at this point, he was 19 and he was an adult, and he didn't really. I could tell he was uncomfortable. He had had some freedom, some time away from it, and he really didn't want to be a part of it, and it was very uncomfortable. I remember we were opening presents, for example, Christmas Day, or we did it Christmas Eve actually, and it was just uncomfortable because we just kind of opened presents. My wife just kind of, she was almost emotionless at this point, and I think she had a degree of brain damage because she just wasn't ticking the way she normally was. She had always been such an outgoing, bubbly person, and now she was kind of like okay, and she was very passive, and it was very strange. And she was inebriated while we were opening presents, and I could tell my son just did not want to be around it anymore. And as soon as we finished opening presents, he immediately went back upstairs to his bedroom, and we didn't see him the rest of the night. And that was Christmas of 2019. And then I remember Christmas morning the next day, and my wife I think she was passed out in bed, and I made some breakfast for my son and I. And this is really the time that we had a very important conversation because I said, Griffin, obviously you can tell your mother has slipped quite a bit. And he goes, yeah, I mean, I haven't been here in 3.5 months and she has really gone downhill. She just doesn't seem like she's with it. And I go, Griff, I gotta tell you what's going on. I think she's got some serious problems. I mean, she's very fragile emotionally, psychologically, and physically. She had her knee replaced back in September, and she still had a boot on her knee. She had difficulty physically walking around, getting upstairs, just moving around. And unfortunately, she had become very isolated because she hadn't been able to drive in about a year and a half by this time. And I had actually taken the car battery out of her truck, so she couldn't go anywhere anyways. But the conversation went like, Griff, I got to tell you, I'm going to have to do something. I can't live with her anymore. I can't be in this situation. You must realize that. And I really wanted to explain it to him because he fully understood. And he goes, Dad, you got to do whatever you got to do. I'm totally on the same page with you. And I said, I remember going, I'm kind of jealous. Can I move back to college with you? And I remember we were laughing because you just get to the point where you can't do it anymore. You love the person, but the disease is just taking over every aspect of that person's life, and you can't allow it to permeate into your own. And I know so many families go through this just impossible situation. So I remember during that breakfast, I kind of told him my plan that she was going to go into another rehab, but it was going to go to a different location than her normal location that had been in Palm Springs. I was going to take her way into LA, the farther the better. And then I wanted to put her into a sober living facility where she would live for actually a year. She'd have to get a job. She'd have to, be around other people. And it's a very good, very good. I wanted her to have a bridge back to her own life and give her a chance. And at that time we were going to separate. I mean, had already filed for legal separation at that point. Some of the people get confused as to why I didn't want to visit her during her last month. I mean, I was kind of done, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. We were past the point of no return at this particular juncture, and I needed to explain that to my son. And I talk about this now because I know so many I know this type of thing resonates with so many families who get lost in this particular impossible situation. I mean, and it is. I mean, you have to make decisions for parents, spouses, for children, and you have to make decisions of separation. Even though you love that person, the disease could no longer be in your life, and it becomes self-preservation. And this video is really about self-preservation. And I believe at the time, I believe it was the 27th, 2 days after Christmas, I drove my son down to San Diego Airport, and he was going to fly to Dallas to his girlfriend's house. I think he said goodbye to his mother, and at the time, I'm sure he didn't realize it would be the last time he would ever see her, because we didn't bring him out of college when she did fall down the flight of stairs and spent her last 30 days in ICU at UCLA. And it was unfortunate. It was the last time he saw her. And, of course, you don't know at the time. But that was the Christmas of 2019. And as a caveat, I know people are going to ask me, where did she get the alcohol if she couldn't drive or she was immobile? Well, anyway, anyhow, you have to realize, unless you've had a concept of living with an alcoholic, you can't really understand that. She would Uber at night on her crutches after I went to sleep. She would DoorDash stuff. She had friends bring stuff over. I mean, it was just, I was not there all the time because I had to work. I had a brokerage to run. And unfortunately, my life became very separate from hers by this point. And that's hard to understand unless you've been in that situation. So that's really the story of how I broke it to my son, and how families have to have this conversation, these important conversations of finality. Again, her book is called Amanda, A Cautionary Tale of Alcoholism. Again, you can find it on Amazon. You can also find it in the link tree in my own website. Easiest way to go to the website in the link tree, click on it, PayPal button opens up, and you can just order it. It's doing very well. I really want to get this into the hands of as many people. I want to have it in every rehab facility in the country, to be honest with you. It's an important book because it's from the perspective of the family. And again, I go live Monday through Friday right around 6 o'clock. 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, although this week's a little bit different because it's Christmas. I may not be available this week, but certainly starting next week. And again, we have the Facebook group called There's an Alcoholic in the Family, and when you're ready to work with me one-on-one, we also have my complete coaching program. Link is in the bio. Set up a Zoom call. Call is free. Coaching program definitely is not, but I'm looking for people who want to change their lives and the lives of their family. And again, thanks so much for listening.